So hello everyone and welcome to our meetup today. So today we have an amazing meetup, which is a joint one together with Android254, Flutter Developers Kenya, and Flutter Kisumu, and also Kotlin Kenya. We have great speakers lined up for you today and a lot of updates for you. And to give you a background story of our speakers today, I think we have Norman, who will be leading the Android and Kotlin session. It is his first time speaking on Android254. As I usually mention on the previous meetups, in case you have never presented either on Android254, you don't have to maybe worry. We'll maybe help you and also organize along the same. So that should not be stopping you. He told me maybe just a couple of years ago that one day he'll want to present on Android254. And here we go. This is his first meetup presentation, and maybe hopefully many more to come. We also have another duo. I will call it the Flutter duo for Maureen and Kendi, who are going to be taking you with the updates that were released on Flutter. So I think they have much knowledge about that. So I cannot preempt anything from the speakers. So I'm very excited for this meetup and very happy to hear what the speakers have and the updates we had. As you know, we had Google I/O just last month. So we decided to just have a recap, and also in case there is something that interesting that you learned and maybe you want to share, at some point we'll also ask you people to share. So I don't want to take much time. So I'll just maybe introduce myself before I forget. At times I usually forget. So I'm Harun Wangereka. I'm an Android developer and also co-organizer for Android254 and Kotlin Kenya. So I don't work alone. I have a couple of other people who we usually run together the meetups. We have Kendi and also Frank Tamre behind the scenes. So in case you have maybe anything you want us to try, or maybe any feedback that you'd want us to implement, please feel free to reach out to us. Or even in case you have a feedback for our sessions this year, we have had quite a lot and we're still having a couple of more to go as the year comes. So please feel free to reach out to us, and welcome to today's meetup. So Norman, I think you'll proceed from here.
Hello everyone, I hope you can all hear me. Confirm that, Harun.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
You can all see me. But you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that part of the introduction. And well, I want to take the opportunity to welcome you all to today's meetup. That is the Google I/O recap from what was announced just a few days ago. And I'll be taking you through the session. It's an interactive one. Basically, we not have much of maybe even live coding sessions, just updates and the new features that Google is rolling out with the new Android 12 and developer tools, Jetpack Compose, Jetpack, Wear OS, and what have you. So it's all about it's an interaction actually. So welcome, and let's go. Hope you can all see my screen. So what is Google I/O as we start? Maybe many of you might not have an understanding or know what actually Google I/O usually is, and to just highlight, it's a company's developer conference where we partly hear about new software updates for platforms like the main one, Android, Wear OS, and an experience with that party, developers to attend the conferences and learn more about Google's software platforms. These years, Google does it with a mantra every other time that they are organizing an I/O. it's a very prestigious conference actually. If you get a chance to hop on to one, it's really prestigious as a developer because you get a chance of networking, interacting with people far away, learn a lot of things and, get exposed to the outside world. This year's mantra was building a more helpful Google for everyone, and the moments that matter actually, because of we are all in a very unique times with the COVID-19 and what have you. So Google has really tried to maybe capture that in even with the IO and its services. So with that, it revealed new upgrades, especially with the rolling out of the new Android OS, that is Android 12. There are new tweaks to the Wear OS, Smart Canvas. If you followed the event, that will help you in better workspace collaborations. Google Maps now have been tweaked and redefined with eco-friendly and safer routing options. Then there was Google Lens that were initially it has been there, but Google keeps improving its products. So Google Lens and AI have been now improved to supercharge, online shopping and a variety of other software reveals that I hope I'm gonna cover in the course of time. So today I'm taking you on what's new in Android and Kotlin. Then my co-hosts will do Flutter, that is Kendi and Maureen. And with updates in Android and Kotlin, we have Android 12 now in beta. It's now in beta release. We have new improvements, additions to Android developer tools. Then we have now the Kotlin language. We have Jetpack, Jetpack Compose and Wear OS. Those are the main highlights that I'll be covering today. We start with one Android 12 beta. So few tweaks have been done here and there. On top of like the existing Android 11 now to Android 12. So it has now gotten a revamped UI, with material design that is now being referred to Material U. Better widgets with fluid motions and animations. Then there are new notifications. They have been redesigned. This I'll show you as we go. Then Android 12 now has been optimized fully for tablets, foldables, and now the TVs. Google takes a keen interest in privacy and security. So they've really invested into that with now the release of the Android 12 beta. More APIs have been, made, and now a new tool in media transcoding I'll show you as we go with the new Android beta, 12 beta. As you all know, Android has always been about personalization, unlike any other OS out here, allowing you to select developer, to select the devices and services that an experience that is right for you. So by providing an open ecosystem that gives you choice now, Android 12 includes the biggest design changes in Android history. Google has rethought now the entire experience, from the colors, shapes, light, motions, etc. The result is now Android 12, which is now more expressive, dynamic, and personal than ever before, as you can see from the from the picture down playing there. It is more revamped and better looking than maybe any other OS that has been there before. Starting now with Android 12 on Pixel devices, you'll be able to completely personalize your phone with a custom color palette and redesigned widgets. Using what we call color extraction, you now choose your wallpaper and system automatically. The system determines which colors are dominant and which ones are contemporary and which ones just look great on your device. It then applies those colors across the entire OS. The notification shade has been changed now. The lock screen and the volume controls, new widgets and much more conform now to the new color palette that the system automatically generates for you from maybe your wallpapers and stuff. This work will, it's hardware intensive. So, but due to the collaboration now with the software tweaks and the material design team now by Google, they are unifying the software and the hardware ecosystem under a single design language, as I introduced the material you design. Everything is getting an overhaul, the colors and the shapes, etc. Color extraction will pull key colors from your wallpaper, create a custom palette, as I said. Using that palette box, the material you, so it will allow users to change up the UI with colors to suit their own style. Now there is a new, it's not, well, it's not new, but rather an improvement of the scroll, behavior in devices where when you get to maybe you scroll up or down a device, you get to maybe the end of your of the screen. Now introducing what we call a stretch over scroll. It's a new system-wide effect that will let you now scroll past the available content in your UI. The stretch effect now will provide a vertical and horizontal scroll stop indicator that common across all apps, and it will be enabled by default. So you'll be able to scroll through containers across the platform and Android X. It replaces the glow over scroll supported in previous versions of Android. As part of the updates, the apps targeting Android 12 will have now decorated notifications with custom content icons and expand affordances to match all other notifications, unlike in any other OS, the previous ones. Then we, as you can see, just a preview of what Android 12 will look like in new devices, and especially rolling out soon in Pixel devices as they are priority devices because they make them themselves. We start with launch animations. As you all know, for Android devs, there is what we call an app called start. When the system does not have a screenshot of your current app state, where now it maybe hangs or there's nothing happening on your UI for a long time before maybe the next action is triggered. Now every app will get a splash screen and a nice zoom in animation as a baseline to solve this hollow gradient effect that appears on app launch from the background. Now this one will enable your app now to load whatever is happening in the background now with these zoom in animations and splash screen. So it will come default to enable the app now load the main layout seamlessly from launchers and in the background. Google's they are saying that it will be optional. You can also use your own, but the advantage with theirs is that it's in real time and it offers you more capabilities. Maybe showing you, enabling you to show maybe an animation of maybe your icon and what you basically like about the app before it loads fully to the user. So you can also use your own animations by customizing the system version. And that is through the animated vector drawable icon to show maybe an animated build of your app. And you do this by calling the method activity get splash screen to modify properties of the animation, maybe the color and the duration. With this more, with this addition of animations and what have you, calls for more resources, which maybe cause a lag and jitter into the systems because they're hardware intensive. So the Android team is now optimizing the devices to display the core elements by reducing the CPU time needed for core system services by maybe 22%, as they said. So devices will now be faster and more responsive. They improved the Android's power efficiency by reducing the use of big cores by system servers by maybe 15% to help devices run longer before needing to maybe charge, thus improving transitions and app startup times. Optimizing now the output and input for faster uploading. There are new now widgets, as I started earlier. These are the new tweaks that are coming with Android 12. So there will be refreshed app widgets to make them more useful, beautiful, and discoverable. New interactive controls like checkboxes, switches, radio buttons will be added to make the personalization widgets easier. Android 12 definitely will look great, and the system and the themes. Rounded up corners now padding automatically adapted to every launcher and home screen. Responsive layouts will let you adapt to whatever device you're using and screens. The dynamic color APIs for widgets now can use system colors now to create a personalized and consistent look on whatever device you're using. Yeah, that's the main highlight of now the widgets, as you can see in the next slide. You see now there'll be the revamping of the normal widgets that we have, maybe some maybe OS, like I would mention like Apple OS, maybe. It's now, well, maybe it was introduced last year, I guess, but now it's coming fully into Android with the new widgets. As you can see now, as I mentioned, with the notifications and revamping of the system spaces, as you can see from the slides. Google is really working to make devices more interactive, look better with the new OS that's coming. The other feature now shipping with Android 12 is now their emphasis on privacy and security. This will give you more transparency around which apps are accessing your data and more control so that you can make informed choices about how much information you're sharing, or you're giving access to whatever application you're using on your device. There will be the introduction of a new privacy dashboard by, with a single view where you'll be controlling all this. A number of privacy focused features, like now the sandbox in Android with a private compute core that will securely now store your data used during machine learning and what have you for models. There's a quick way now to delete recent search history, ability to quick turn off location history in maps and what have you, as it was announced by in the IO. So this dashboard now will easily help you revoke app permissions right from the dashboard immediately without maybe navigating to the system settings and what have you, a long process. Sorry, someone was talking. Okay, that's kicking. Google is also giving you more control over how much information now you share with whatever app, how much applications interact within your device. With the new approximate location permissions, an app now can have limited access to maybe seeing your approximate location instead of the precise one. It will now depend with you how much you want to allow an application to, be given access to your location history and what have you. Bluetooth scanning now required by us to have the location permission, which was a challenge for apps that needed to pair with nearby devices, but didn't actually need the device location. Now there'll be an improvement to that. Now apps can scan for nearby devices without needing that location permission here access. With applications now targeting now Android 12, can scan using the new Bluetooth scan permission with the uses permission flags attributes. Then after the pairing, now you can use the Bluetooth connect permission to interact with the app, app to app, or maybe this now permissions to will promote privacy friendly app design, reducing now frictions between applications. People now have been having better ways to manage the access to location, as I said, through the separate permissions for the foreground and background access of applications. Now there is access only. There are two types of permissions that now the app will be. Now you will be in a position to give. You can allow it to, now you can allow any application that asking for maybe location access of your your location access. It's either you give it a permission to allow it only for that period when it's maybe needing the permission, or maybe throughout and then there is now the new feature where now you giving it an approximate location of where you are rather than a larger location access. Now apps are requesting precise location data. Users can now choose to grant either precise or approximate. A new indicator now will be showing on your screen with the new Android 12 to the top menu bar to show when an app is accessing your camera or your microphone, when to use it or not, and you can control all that through the dashboard as I started. As you can see now, this is all that I was explaining before. You have now the permission. You are now granted the controls to allow either approximate location and what time the application needs to access your data. There's an announcement that was made too on media transcoding shipping with Android 12. There'll be an enhanced media encoding engine that now will help the apps to work with the latest image and video formats such as HEVC and AVIF. This feature transcodes the file to a format that is widely compatible, the most appropriate one, Android 12 now through this engine will automatically do this for you. With AVIF is a single frame version of the AV1 video codec now, which is less blocky and has sharper images and lighter than the JPEGs. So this engine now will support other formats in this format of AVIF, which now will enable the lossless compressions, HDR support, and any other and 10-bit and 12-bit color depth with that are now coming with improvements with the Android 12 design. As we all know, default video format for in Android maybe has always been the H.264 format, the normal video format. And now with the additions of, as now technology has really improved, there is now new formats like then H.265, the HDR and HDR10 and HDR plus. So that now require better transcoding for them to play on Android devices. This is now will be supported in Android 12. All you need to do now as a developer is create a new media capability, the XML file in your app, where now you'll be needed to list formats that maybe you presume that you'll be in a position to handle, and those that you can't through your manifest file. And now the engine, now the media and transcoding engine will lift everything else for you. It will automatically, transcode the files for the best available format. Maybe you even didn't know the format of a video that you're using for, in your build. Now the engine now comes in handy. It will transcode that for you and play the most available format. But you have now to specify that in your XML file and now point that to your manifest file as you build. So this can also be done through an API that's coming to create a content resolver and to request media, which tells you what media is supported and which is not in real time as you build. This is a code sample to maybe show how media transcoding will be done through the engine. As you can see, the different formats, as I started with there, are shown. So it will automatically be doing this for you, and much of the heavy lifting, helping you now work better and smarter. There was a mention of a introduction of unified APIs to maybe accept contents from sources, like now how you copy and paste stuff all over your keyboard, clipboard, and what have you. The drag and drop features now. A unified API where now it will be even giving you a pop-up to show whatever data you want maybe to share, or whatever is in your clipboard that you need to share with maybe another application or a user out there. Android 12 now has been optimized for tablets and foldables and TV. As Google is expanding its support for Android 12 on these large display devices. And so it's taking advantage of what we all know, Jetpack Composer, the constraint layout, to build those responsive layouts. New APIs have been built and tools to enable this. One is the sliding pane layout now in version 1.2.0, which will now help you resize your content automatically to fit whatever device or space that you building for. Then there is the vertical navigation rails that will provide a more economic experience on large screens like the TVs. Constraint layout now in version 2.1, and the motion layout that will help updating foldables and transition states. Then there's the Jetpack window manager that will now make it easy to take advantage of the new hardware features in hinges and foldables. So Many UI elements now have a default max width value that make sure they look better on large screens. Changes to the display API ensure that the existing apps continue to render correctly on foldables, even if they are not using the window manager to query the window metrics. As you can see from the slides there, it will now be easier to, optimize builds for any type of screen or display, and especially now that we are going into the new worlds of foldables. Then we get to the other subtopic that is on Android developer tools. There are new features or improvements that have been made and were mentioned during the I/O. Android Studio, as we've been using version 4.1. It's now we have 4.2, and now they are calling it the Arctic Fox. It's now in available in a beta channel, which is now, they announced that it will be focused on design devices and developer productivity. The version 4.1 included the live data inspector, where you can make real-time app database changes and see them work on your UI. Then the support for importing TensorFlow-like models directly into your project, and a new C++ native memory profiler. Now, Android 4.2 now comes bundled with all these stable features as they were in alpha back then, with improvements on the now project upgrade assistant that will now help you as a developer migrate all your projects to use the latest Android Gradle plugin with support for safe ags, that plugin that gives you type safety when navigating and passing data between destinations within your application. And now we have improvements into the now apply changes feature, where real time you can see changes as you build. They announced of the new versioning schema, how they'll be naming the new versions of Android Studio from now, version 4.2, which is the Arctic Fox, which will now be aligned with the Gradle plugin as well. So this means that the Gradle plugin now version of your app project will not be tied to your Android Studio version. Therefore, updating now to maybe when you want to update to Canary versions or whatever versions does not affect your build outputs of your application. They are now standalones, not like as before. There's a new Compose preview feature that has been added now with those, of course, as we migrating to, the new build function with Compose. You can now create previews of your Compose UI with the Compose preview by using the annotation preview. The previews can now be made to visualize multiple components at once in different configurations and themes for your device. That's creating a mental mapping for you to navigate your code, as you can see from that simple code snippet. We have a layout inspector now for Compose now as an Android developer tool, where now you can inspect layouts written in Compose with the inspector. Whether your app uses layouts fully written in Compose or layouts that use hybrid, Compose and views, the inspector now will help you understand how your layouts are rendered on your running devices under the emulator. You obtain rich details like the parameters and modifiers being passed to each composable. Debug issues also might arise, but you'll in real time be able to get all this information through the inspector. You can now, you have an option to either enable live updates to constantly now stream data from your device and reduce performance impact on your device by disabling them and clicking on the refresh action needed. There is a developer preview to now whatever you're building. This feature is to deploy a snippet of your UI to a device or emulator. It will help to test the small parts of your code in the device without having to start the full application now. You can test a small bit, you see how usable it is, how functional, before even now deploying the whole, starting the whole application afresh. The preview will benefit the same context now with permissions and resources within your application. You can choose to deploy the device to deploy to device icon on the top of any Compose preview or next to the preview annotation in the code editor in Android Studio. With Compose now, there is the live editing of literals. What this means is allowing you as a developer to quickly edit strings, numbers, and booleans, etc. in your code and see the result immediately without needing to wait for compilations and what have you. As you can see from the code, the snippet there. This feature now is to increase your productivity, having code changes appear instantaneously with the previews on your emulators or the device that you're testing on. Then there is an accessibility scanner for the layout editor. So Android Studio will now integrate this test framework to help you find accessibility issues in your layout. When using now the editor, you can click on the error report button to launch the panel. The tool will report now the accessibility related issues and also suggest now fixes for some common errors, missing content, descriptions, and what have you. There is the background now task inspector. This is all focused on developer productivity mainly, because these are tools to help you focus more on now writing quality code without stressing over maybe performance and behavior of your applications. So you can now utilize now the background task inspector to visualize and monitor all this, with even debugging your app's background workers when using now the work manager library. So you can access it by going to using the direction as I shown. You access it through the tools window from the menu bar. So when you deploy an app on a device running API level 26 and higher, you should see these active work managers in the background task inspector tab, as I'm showing you below there. Then there are more updates that will now help Android Studio now ActiveFox become better. There is the new, they've now like merged updates from IntelliJ AI platform with them with the shipping of the many new features such as the debugger, interactive hints, and welcome screens and what have you from IntelliJ AI platform now directly into Android Studio ActiveFox. Now there is a new feature now with the Android 12 lint checks, which has been enabled and specific to build your app so you can get guidance in context. We now have build checks for custom declarations of maybe the splash screens, course location permissions for media formats, and higher sensor sampling rate permissions. There is like more extended controls in the emulator tool window. Developers now can have access to all the extended emulator controls, and when the emulator is opened in a tool window, unlike in a standalone device or emulator. So you have more controls when you open an emulator in a tool window with Android Studio. So these extended controls now will give a developer the powerful tools for testing their apps using the navigation playback, virtual sensor snapshots within now Android Studio. You can activate them, you can see them as I'm showing with the preview there, the different extended controls. And they are now visible on the menu window there, as you can see. We go to the next one now. We cover a few updates that have been made to Kotlin as a language. You can now write your grade or build files in Kotlin scripts, the KTS. This is a Kotlin that can be run from the command line now, eliminating now the need to maybe run Groovy. So you have now the full features of autocomplete and refactoring in your build files. Kotlin annotation processing tool, as you know, has been made now more reliable and incremental with these compilation issues were being fixed, and Gradle configuration caching in now Kotlin has been improved to give you more build speeds and improvements as you compile your code. Kotlin symbol processors are now in alpha. Will enable you now build lightweight compiler plugins in Kotlin. It will offer similar functionalities to the Kotlin annotation processing tool. However, this is supported in a room. So as a result, you have 2 times more faster and functionality and direct access to Kotlin compiler features. Then we have extensions have been improved with lots of artifacts for various Jetpack APIs, as I'll show you as we go. Many of these now libraries now incorporate Kotlin coroutines as you've been now interacting with them since their launch. In the API services, including flow now, the 2 states of flow, that is state flow and shared flow, for observable streams of values. Now, there was a discussion I had a few days ago with a panel of developers where the question was raised whether state flow is coming maybe to replace live data for Java programming users. And well, as the shift now goes into Kotlin and the ease of building with Kotlin, maybe not. It will depend with your with your way of working it out, your easiest way of doing it. So it's becoming a new normal in observing state updates from your UI. And now it gives you more, features like now the power of suspending functions in operators as compared now to live data. An introduction now, a better improvement in the Android X lifecycle library now will help you observe flow directly into your UI without needing data binding or etc. And it's now in alpha, so it will give you more usability. Then a Kotlin debugger, a coroutine debugger is coming, is shipping with
Just a quick one.
yes.
So I think I'll like to maybe react on the discussion you were saying with the fellow devs, maybe
Yeah.
regarding the flows and live data.
Yes.
I think as of maybe last month, is
Yeah.
it last month, May?
Yes.
I think for Kotlin developers, they
Yes.
are mostly encouraging you to use Flow because they
Yes.
have these extension functions to like help you and
Yeah.
solve the issues that developers previously had with flows. We have
Yes.
like things like repeat on life cycle and also yeah, such APIs to just help you observe your flows on the view, which were previously a problem. So currently they are saying like data is for maybe Java plug
Java,
as
yeah. Mhm.
but they're highly recommending that.
Yeah, actually, that was the we took that trajectory in our discussion because you find that more people are coming on board to use to now even to use Kotlin as their main development language. So it was all a matter of what you find the best working around for you. So maybe we could continue if there is nothing else.
Yes, you can proceed.
So yeah, with the announcement that Android Studio future versions will come with a coroutine debugger, which will enable you to properly now debug and understand everything happening under the hood in your app builds. Through now the coroutines tab in Android Studio, one will be in a position to see all details of active dispatchers and the coroutine status, which are maybe paused or running in the UI. Kotlin now Android extension plugin is being phased out. Specifically when using now Kotlin synthetics for the Android views. So I recommended the migration path is to now use the Android view binding. The parserize feature will still be supported, but will be moved now to a separate plugin known as the Kotlin parserizer. All you will need as a dev now is to just update your builds and your imports, and everything else, every other thing will be heavy lifted for you. We touch on Jetpack as a suite of libraries, tools, and guidance to help developers follow best practices, reduce boilerplate code, and write code that works consistently across all the Android versions and devices. Some of these tools and libraries we've been working with them, but now some are now in their stable releases, others still in beta and alpha states. So ones that are now in stable include Camera X, Hilt for dependency injection, paging 3.0 now is stable, constraint layout and motion layout, security crypto, and fragment. Those are ones that are now in their stable states. One in beta is data store. Others are still in alpha, so a few changes here and there with the APIs might are to come. That is app search, room, work manager, navigation, macro bench, mark, and emoji compat. We touch on each as we go. Camera X now we provides unified API service for accessing camera functionalities across the Android OS versions, including now a device-specific compatibility fixes and workarounds. The latest improvements to this library now address common features requests, including now the support for adjusting now exposure compensation, access to more detailed information about your camera state. Settings like now the FPS range can now be changed via the camera to interrupt. Where now the camera is actually running, and now there is support for latest device and OS features, like now the high dynamic range preview, zoom ratio controls, and support for Android's do not disturb mode in the camera now. There is HILT, the Jetpack library recommended for dependency injection. So built on top of Dega, as part of the transition to a stable one. Now HILT's view model has support moved up into the core HILT Android APIs, and the saved state handle has been added as a default dependency now available in the view model components. HILT is now integrated with navigation and compose. You can obtain annotated HILT view model that is scoped to a destination or the navigation graph itself. We have paging 3.0. This library now will allow you to load and display small chunks of data to improve network and system resources consumption. This feature is a complete rewrite in Kotlin with fast-class support for coroutines and flow, asynchronous loading with RX Java and Guava primitives, overall improvements to the repository and presentation layers. With the constraint layout and motion layout are big on Compose. As we all know, this is the Jetpack's flexible system for designing layouts, and then the API now is aimed at managing motion and widget animations, as I started with showing you the new improved widgets and animations that are shipping with Android 12. Now motion layout will enable you to work around foldables and image filtering and motion effects. We have another feature now, a stable feature shipping with Jetpack, that is the security crypto. This library will allow you to safely and easily encrypt files and shared preferences. So you can now create an encrypted shared preferences object with the appropriate key and scheme, and then use it like a standard shared preference object as we do. There's a code snippet below to help you understand this. As I said, it's more of an interactive session. Maybe if we had more time, and maybe we would jump into some of these live coding sessions in the future, maybe, and see what some of these properties libraries do. There are new improvements on Fragments. The activity result integration will now make it possible to register for activity results from a fragment. Fragment has now added a new fragment on attach listener interface to replace the less flexible on attach fragment method. Existing code that overrides this method in the fragment activity will still work, but unattached fragment has been deprecated to help prevent new code from accidentally adopting the less flexible approach, as you can see from the code snippet below. This can be, you can swing around this and get your hands dirty, maybe from the developer documentation. if you want to try it and see the new improvements. We have data store that I mentioned is in the beta, release Amber state. It will provide this library now will provide a robust data storage solution that will address the shortcomings of shared preferences while maintaining a simple, highly usable API surface. It brings support for best practices like now Kotlin coroutines with Flow and RxJava. It will allow you to store key value pairs with the preference data store or the typed objects backend by protocol buffers via the Proto data store. You can also plug in your own serialization solution like the Kotlin serialization. We have the new app search feature now shipping in it's in alpha state. It's a new on-device search library which will provide high performance and feature-rich full-text search functionality. Compared to SQLite, app search supports multiple world languages now, simplifying ranking query results and offer low latency for indexing and search over a large data set now. It's still in improvements. Under development. We have Work Manager. We all know it's a recommended, way to schedule deferrable asynchronous tasks that run even if the app exits or the device restarts. It has made now there are more improvements to reliability with task reconciliation, ensuring that now all tasks are executed and a variety of workarounds for specific OS, Android OS. It will now support multi-process applications, including now performance benefits from unifying work requests now, scheduling to a single process and limiting database growth when scheduling mini requests. With the navigation still, there is now support for multiple backstacks and simplifying cases where destinations sit at the same depth, such as the bottom navigation bar. There are still more APIs are being developed to, make it better for use. We have Macrobench Mark. It's a library that extends Jetpack's benchmarking coverage to app startup and integrate behaviors like now the scrolling performance. The library now can be used remotely to track metrics in continuous integration testing or locally with the profiling results viewable in Android Studio, as I showed you in the developer features. It is now for developers who would like now to integrate more closely with maybe Google Assistant to help you now do these app shortcuts from your app, and now you will be in a position to execute them from with the help of the Google shortcut library that comes embedded into Google Assistant. So you can send up to 15 shortcuts at a time through the shortcut manager to show on the Google Assistant, among other services, making them available for voice and other interactions. We go to Room, the other recommended data persistence layer, providing increased usability and safety over the platform. We now have version 2.4.0 in alpha, bringing support for auto migrations. When your database schema changes now, you can declare an auto migration and indicate from which version to which version you want to migrate to. Room automatically generates the migrations for you, as you can see with the code snippet down below. Then we have Jetpack Compose now. It's in beta. It's the declarative UI toolkit for Android, designed to make it faster and easier to build native applications across all Android platforms, offering you modern and declarative Kotlin APIs, helping you to build beautiful, responsive apps with way less code. It builds to integrate with the existing applications and Jetpack libraries, so you can adopt Compose at your own pace. That's very smooth learning curve if you want to jump on board. And you can now combine Android views and Compose together in your existing applications. So Compose, Jetpack Compose is coming bundled with various few features. Now we have coroutine support, accessibility support for Talkback, easy use of animations with a completely new API since the alpha release. We have now theming and graphics with easy support for dark and light mode features, easier testing, modifiers, lazy lists, to take on recycler view, ways for inputs and gestures, domain specific language based, constraint layout. Then we have material UI components, all with a sampled code, as I'll show you. Shipping with now Jetpack Composer is a layout preview that will now be giving you a preview of your Compose code on the go as you write it, as you can see from the code preview below. Unlike now how we used to build, waiting for you to apply changes, wait for compilation. Now this layout preview shipping with the Jetpack Compose will enable you now preview all what you're doing as you build, and now give you a possible, layout look of your app on a real device. As you can see from that simple snippet there. Then there is a layout inspector, which we now actually extract and show you a wireframe of all your layout components, just like with the layout preview, showing you your different many of your Compose code. Now we have a layout inspector. It will now be showing you a wireframe of all the components as you interact with them, as you build. Compose layouts now support Talkback, as I mentioned earlier. This is an advanced screen reader on Android that both reads contents to you and lets you interact with the display using simple gestures. It's through use of spoken feedback and gestures that now will offer you a full phone experience without needing you to look at your screen. This will mainly enable the people with the, impaired, like sight and what have you. So collaborating with the blind and low vision communities, the revamped version of the Talkback features many of the users' top wish list items, like the new and more intuitive multi-feature, finger gestures, and a unified menu, new reading controls, and customizable menus and gestures. You can now embed Compose UIs within Android views and use views within Compose, as I started. The Android Compose theme adapter will help you now and the company's libraries to provide the integration as you embed these UIs. So the integration with material and app compat XML themes, so you don't need to duplicate all these theme definitions in your app build. Accompanies the library will also offer wrappers for common image loading libraries. A simple preview, as I showed there, of how this adapter will help you now when embedding the new Compose UIs within your Android views. This now library will enable the reuse of material themes as defined in the XML for theming in Jetpack Compose. It attempts now to bridge the gap between material components for the normal Android XML themes and the themes in the Jetpack Compose, allowing you your composable material theme now to be based on the activities XML theme. This is comes in handy when you're migrating an existing app a fragment to the new Jetpack Compose theme. So as you can see from the code snippet, it's easily, it's an easy integration. And Jetpack Compose, as I started being declarative, offers a shift from the, the current the old Android view system, where you describe what your UI should look like for a given application state, and now not how it to produce it. That is what now Compose will be looking to address. Compose now takes care of updating your UI when your app state changes. So you don't have to manipulate your UI into the desired state, which can be, error prone, and due to complexity of your views updating each and every, view as you build, Compose now will be heavy lifting this for you. And now we touch on a few updates with Wear OS. Of course, with the improvement, shipping of Android Studio Arctic Fox in beta now. There's a new developer preview for the new Wear system image, as well as improved tools to develop and test wearable apps without a device. It's much simpler now to pair your Wear emulators with your phone directly with Android Studio. So you can stay in the Android Studio IDE to develop, test, and iterate. The new pairing assistant will guide you step by step how to pair your emulators with your physical the virtual phones directly with Android Studio. Now there is a virtual heart rate sensor coming on board with the Wear OS. The emulator now has this rate sensor to help you create and test apps that respond to differently to activity levels in your wearables. A new Jetpack API is tailored now for small screens and designed to optimize battery life, known as the Jetpack Tiles API. I'll be showing you in a bit. Tiles will give you users fast, predictable access to information and actions as they rely on most task switching and ongoing activities. Now the new version of Wear makes it easy for users to switch back and forth between applications. With a minimum amount of code, now you can use the new ongoing activities API to let your users return to your app after they've navigated away by tapping on an activity indicator icon at the bottom of the watch face. Double tapping on the side button via recent sections of the global app launcher. The ongoing activities is the API is now in alpha. As you can see, this is the switching in different activities with the Wear OS. And now we have a preview of the Tiles API that will enable users see at the different, scopes of the activities that the the wearables are, the wearables are scanning in the background. So yeah, that comes, makes the, end of my presentation with the new features that have been announced in Android and Kotlin. I hope it has been nice, and well, waiting for maybe questions, more additions, because as I said, it's an interactive session more so. So whatever else, these were my takeaways. So maybe someone has more, additions. It's your time now. You can go.
So first and foremost, thank you, Norman, for the extensive and deep coverage of the new features. I think you have covered them in a good way.
Thank you.
And in an extensive way, from maybe Android to Kotlin and also to the OS. I think after your presentation, I can say what a good time to be an Android developer.
Sure.
Yeah, for the first time, I'm excited about having to update my operating system because it has much to offer, especially the designs and the animations.
Yeah.
And also looking at the developer tools.
Yes.
I think we quite have a lot of awesome things there from Android Studio.
Yes.
I think the team is doing a good job, and also around tooling and also the Jetpack libraries.
Yes.
Yeah, I think a couple of libraries have hit stable with Camera X and also paging and so on and so on. Yeah, I can say good job, and also what a time to be an Android developer.
Thank
So in
you.
case you have an addition, maybe something else, maybe you feel that was not captured or something that excited you, this is the time.
Sure.
Or a question to Norman.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question.
Yes.
Under Jetpack Compose,
Yes.
now that Jetpack Compose is coming over July on stable version,
Yes.
so like for if you want to advise a new learner or a beginner,
Yes.
should he or start with Jetpack Compose or what? Because I think it's coming good way compared to the XML part of it.
What I would advise and what I go for myself is Composer has a very smooth learning curve, even from the documentation. You just need to take your time, play around with it, and see what the match capabilities you can tap into, they can help you in your build. So it's a matter of giving yourself time, practice a lot. That is what I emphasize on. Because the more you practice, the better it gets into you, and you understand the different dynamics. So simply just take it on and be open-minded. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Hi.
Hi everyone. Sorry for coming late. I have like a time zone problem. Like right now it's 3:19 p.m. here in the country that I'm residing. So I am a Cameroonian. I'm a mechanical engineering student, and also I'm interested in software development. I started web development last year. I'm developing right now a website for small businesses, and I'm also interested in Flutter, Google Flutter. So my question is like, is it like the Flutter taking popularity also in African tech companies? This is my question.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
I mean, is there like many companies in African tech companies that are adopting Flutter or not?
Oh, sure, I get you now. I don't know how I'll answer this, but Flutter is really taking up the ecosystem, and it's the high time if I would want to advise anyone, maybe because I see it's a new normal now, and many companies are even the beauty about Flutter, and as my other presenters will maybe add, is that you build in a multi-platform kind of way with Flutter. So you are one engineer who can build both for the Android and the iOS platforms in one. So you find that companies now are tending now to go that route because maybe of they look into the budgets of managing concurrent teams, maybe an Android team, an iOS team, maybe. So harmonizing the two and getting the whole job done by maybe a single team. So it's a bright future, and if you have a chance to hope on it and you see what it will maybe where it can take you, because Flutter is the next big thing. If not so, maybe Harun could add on that, or someone else.
Yes. Okay.
I think we have Maureen and Kendi who are in a better position than I to maybe answer the question.
Okay.
And I think we have the Flutter crew.
Maybe you can answer him.
Anyone who has an answer to?
Okay, I can try to answer him.
Yes, Jack.
What I can say is that Flutter is just an alternative solution to building multi-platform code, but Kotlin also offers the same the same platform that you can build something that is multi-platform. So for Flutter, what is there is that some companies choose it because they think it can solve their problems, and others choose Kotlin. So in Africa, it's hard to say that there are companies that are tending to shift more to Flutter than Kotlin, because some of the African companies, their data is not sort of public. So, but when you look abroad, you can see that many companies have shifted to Flutter. But here in Africa, I still see people who want to do things in React Native or React. So if we are to look, if there was a way to get the numbers, then it will be easier to answer that question. But right now, I think Flutter is still somewhere there whereby people are still embracing it, while looking at other options like React. And then, of course, there are still others who are still using Java. So your question in terms of if it's being embraced, it might not have an answer right now at the moment. What I can say is that if you are looking for somewhere to go work, and you are into Flutter, somehow I don't know if you can say you can be sure that you'll get it, because these projects, some of them they come with these projects. Some of them they come based in different requirements. So it's all about you finding if somebody is going to find your expertise in a certain area very relevant to their projects or their needs. So your question might not have an answer right now.
Okay, we need time. I asked it because, most of the tech countries in Africa is Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, and Egypt. If you are in Kenya, give me this answer, I know that it's almost like all Africa is like that, because I'm planning to build my own apps, and due to the less popularity, I don't know how to have this network of other developers so that we can work together. That's also an issue.
We have a very strong active community here in Kenya for the Flutter people. I think, yeah, you'll interact with them maybe in the session. They have the next session.
Also, hi, just to add on that, you said you are in Cameroon. There's a Flutter community in Cameroon. I think it's organized by Boris. So if you need access to that community, maybe you can just reach out via the Flutter Developers Kenya Telegram group. Then we'll link you to that Flutter Cameroon community.
Okay. Because right now I'm Cameroonian, but I'm not in Cameroon right now. That's why I find it hard to find the community. So where can I get the link of the Telegram group?
Yeah, I think some can share it, or even Kendi. Yeah, but there's an existing Flutter Cameroon community.
Okay.
Let me share a link in a few.
So do you have any other questions or additions for Norman? You can also ask on the chat, and maybe I'll read out the questions loudly. I think I'll take maybe silence as a no. And maybe in the interest of time, let me give time for the other session. So once again, thank you, Norman, for the session. We appreciate having you on Android254 and also Kotlin Kenya together with Flutter Developers Kenya and Flutter Kisumu. Thank you for the session. Yes, and in case anyone has any other question, I think he'll drop his maybe Twitter handle or where you can reach him out. Maybe you have a question about maybe something he mentioned, but I think he has covered most of the things that were updated or maybe that were announced on the IO. So please, as an Android developer, I'm just talking to Android and Kotlin developers, maybe just go and check out most of these updates if that is tooling, and also on the others, Android and Kotlin Jetpack libraries. And also if you have a Pixel device, Android 12 is there already, go download it and play around with it. So thank you, Norman. So next, I want to introduce, we have Kendi and also Maureen. So they're going to take us in what's new in Flutter. And I'll let them pick it up from here. Kendi and Maureen, if you can hear me.
Thank you, Harun.
Yes.
So, hi, everyone. I hope you've had a great session with Norman. I hope you're not so tired for the next one, but we'll make it as interactive so that we'll see how it goes. So I'm sharing my screen in a minute, but before that, let's hear some two or three greetings from Mike.
You want 2 or 3 greetings?
No, from 2 people. From 2 people.
She wants
Yeah,
you to
so
say.
So,
just say hi to the audience and
okay, I get you. Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Michael Kimadi. I'm so glad to be here and see the awesomeness that is growing in the community. So basically, I love people, and I also run a couple of communities. That is Atlassian, MongoDB, and GitLab. Most of them based in Nairobi, but we normally do satellite events around Kenya. And in the near future, we might be going to other countries. So, yeah. Also, I just joined Africa's Talking Developer Relations. Also planning to build a community, collaborate with the communities that are around. So expect more of me around to see how we can empower each other, collaborate, build cool stuff, and succeed together. Aside from that, I'm a professional DJ. So is Norman Nuthu.
Yeah, I forgot that
So-
bit.
So maybe we should normalize in every community event. We have like 10 minutes where we have some cool music, starting it up and pumping it up now with the remotes and virtual events. And I'm glad to hear what Kendi and Maureen have in store for us. Also, guys, if you can enable your camera, I would like to see you, get to see you for who you are. Asante.
thank you so much, Mike. Let's hear something from Omar. Is it Omar or Omar? Just say hi to everyone. Then we'll go to the next person. Then we officially start our Flutter session. So, Omar.
Yeah, hi to everyone. I am a Cameroonian student here living in Bangladesh, like neighboring country to India, doing mechanical engineering. So I'm interested in Flutter since last year, November last year. And also I'm very glad to be here in the community of Kenyan Flutter developers and Android developers. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Omar. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Is it Omar or Omar?
Yeah, Omar. You know, it's written in French system. So normally it should be UMAR in English.
Okay.
French is OU.
Thank you so much. Glad to have you. So let's have the last greeting from Daniel Njoroge. Then from there we can kick it out.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
So I didn't expect to be picked, but so far there's been a very productive session, and I've learned a lot. And it's my first time here on Android254, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Feel welcomed. So for the introduction, I'll hand it over to Kendi to take it over. So welcome to our Flutter session, and I hope we share and hear your take about the updates for Google I/O 21. So take it over, Kendi. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Maureen, for the introduction. Also, thank you, Norman. I'm feeling weird calling you Norman because I'm used to calling you boys, but it's an honor to have you speak at Android254. My name is Yes, my name is Kendi. I am a co-organizer for Flutter Kenya and also Android254. And today I'm honored to give highlights on the updates that were announced during Google I/O for Flutter. On our session, we are planning on making it as interactive as possible. So if we call out your name, please feel free to give us highlights on things that you really liked or something that really stood out for you during the updates. And something that you really, really liked. So yeah, that's how we run our IO recap, because ideally it's us discussing things that we really liked. And I'm really looking forward to learning more from you as you learn more from me. Thank you so much, Maureen.
Yeah, thank you, Kendi. So I'm Maureen Josephine, a software engineer. I work with CarePay at the moment, and also an organizer for Flutter Kisumu, where we hold monthly meetups geared towards holding topics around Flutter or any other technologies. So today we are planning to talk about the Google I/O updates, or rather the updates that were made during the Google I/O events, majorly concerning Flutter. So before we start, because I like pointing people, so I'll give this opportunity to Keronei to tell us what Flutter is for anyone who is new to Flutter. Just a brief description of what Flutter is. How can you tell a 5-year-old what Flutter is? Keronei, take it over.
Hey everyone, that was unexpected, but thanks a lot, Moja. I won't turn on my camera because of situations on the ground. So straight away to Flutter. What is Flutter really? Initially, we used to develop Android applications using Java, and then we developed iOS applications using Swift. But now there is a challenge because most of the companies need to develop both of these applications, and they have to employ engineers who have good understanding in Swift and good understanding in Android. So you find it's kind of a double work. We've got to develop the same exact features in Android, and we have to develop the same exact features in iOS. So the end result is you find there have to be changes, there have to be glitches and everything else around. But at one point, Google came up with a very nice solution, and they called it Flutter, where you build once using Dart language, and then you deploy to both platforms. That is, you put an update on App Store, and then one more update on Play Store. And the UI, the everything else, the functionality, and all that stuff is exactly perfect, and it just comes up with some real good UI, and you get something that really works and serves your expectations. So in short, that is Flutter. They use the term multi-platform, but now it's growing up. It's getting into web. It's getting into desktop. So now, technically, you can build once and run on your desktop, on your Android device, on your iOS device, and on the web. So it's kind of amazing, and it's something that is growing. It's something to watch out for. It's something to stay close. You need to get some bits of this thing. You can't really ignore this thing because it's a movement. Yeah, so that is it from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Keronei. That was a nice description, being that it was so unexpected. Thank you so much for it. So today our aim is to talk about the improvements that have been done to Flutter, just as Keronei has mentioned. So before we do that, I'd like Alistair to talk about a brief statement about what improvement of, or what progress Flutter has made in the past few years. So Alistair, pick it up.
I think Alista is not in the call. Yeah, I think he's not in the call, Maureen.
Oh, sorry, I thought he was. So with that, let me just talk about it. So with Flutter, more than over 200,000 Flutter apps are in Play Store at the moment. So you can see from when Flutter came into limelight and to the present, we have many people or many developers building Flutter apps and deploying them to Play Store. So that's something nice. Also, currently there is a Flutter Web 2.0, which is stable and production ready. And we are also glad to see companies picking up Flutter. So some of these companies are BMW, Nubank, WeChat, Grab, and maybe many other companies. So we see that as much as Flutter is coming in, at the same time, many other companies are trying to pick it up, which is a nice thing. And also being that quality is a top priority, we have more than 6,000 issues. When I say issues, I mean GitHub issues have been closed at the moment. So that's a nice progress, and that's a nice thing to know. So anyone who is getting up started with Flutter, or anyone who is already in Flutter, I feel we are in the right direction. So I'll give it over to Kendi to proceed to what we have today.
Okay, cool. I like the Flutter 2.21. Actually, during the I/O, they said it was 2.2, but then they had like to improve it. I think there was some bug fixes that were in production that they needed to fix. That's why they decided to pull it to Flutter 2.21. And with this, we have interesting updates on it, like when building for web, you can cache resources in the background using the service workers. Also, we see like we have optimized cached behavior in PWAs and improved support of mouse events. This is mostly on the web bit. Also, we have more updates on the desktop. We see that the desktop is now it's in beta. The beta channel is now in stable channel, and then let's talk about the updates on the Android side. So you see, you use deferred components that let you download Flutter components at runtime as needed and reducing app size. So this is one of the major updates that I see that Flutter 2.1 has done, especially on the Android side, by reducing the app size, which ideally is a good thing, because you don't want to, like, when you want to go and download the application, you find like it's over 50 MBs or close to 100 MBs. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Also on the iOS part, you can compile shaders to make animations smoother while they are run for the first time. So I think the major update here on the iOS side is making the animations more smooth. We know that Flutter is really interested in, or rather it's major based on the UI bit, that users are having really smooth UI interaction and all. So on the iOS bit, they've decided to like make the animations feel smoother for users. So yeah, you can actually feel it when you're using it. Also, they have improved the Devtools suite that let you analyze memory usage in your application, and you can identify the problems easily. Another update on this bit is on the SDK bit. We've seen like a very major improvement on the SDK, and the biggest of them all is where they put more work on making the web application more accessible. Also in the SDK still, we see that the Flutter ads has been updated, and it's supporting the null safety. Right now, everything in Flutter, if you're writing a new Flutter application, the null safety is default as you're writing a new Flutter application. So it's supporting the null safety Flutter ads SDK. And also we have an interesting update for Flutter 2.21, where new payment plugin has been developed that lets developers process payments for physical items on iOS and Android. For me, these are the things that stood out for me, especially on the Flutter Bits and the update. If anyone has has interacted with this, or I would like to know who has actually updated the Flutter SDK and how do they feel? How do they feel working with it compared to like the previous updates, or rather the previous channel? Maureen, have you updated already?
Yeah, I was trying to update. However, I was getting some funny errors about the SDK. So I think it's maybe a problem on my side, but I don't know if anyone has experienced such. So Jack, would you please tell us your experience on upgrading Flutter to 2.21 or any challenges that you faced?
Okay, I didn't want to talk about before you guys talk, but now that you mentioned me, I'll say I've realized that there's a lot of improvement in the latest SDK because when Flutter 2.0 was out, there was a lot of a large outcry because guys who tried to upgrade started to find a lot of errors, and then that time also a lot of plugins had not yet been migrated to null safety. But at the time that Flutter 2.2 was out, I can say that a great number of plugins had already been migrated, and that is a good thing. And when I upgraded, I realized that because I personally don't like running Chrome on my machine, I was forced to install it so that when I run Flutter Doctor, I will have zero issues to deal with. So I realized that it forced me to do things that I did not need to. And then also I realized that now I did not need to have more than one channel on my machine to test desktop or web, because I normally like testing this other stuff. So I realized that right now you could build your code and have it running on your Chrome. So basically, um, of course, there is an app that I needed to rewrite it from the ground up to fix some of the issues that had emerged. But after I burnt the midnight oil, I haven't had any issues. So far, this is one of the best SDKs that Flutter has produced. And as I can see on their GitHub, they are busy fixing all the bugs that have been identified, and they're also coming up with new features. So far, I give them a thumbs up.
Thank you so much, Jack, for your take and for your experience about that. So I'm interested to know one thing about the null safety. Is it really, what's your experience after using or maybe upgrading Flutter to 2.21? And when you try creating your first Flutter app, does it come by default as they mentioned? I'd like to hear anyone who has done that. So Sam Baraka, I'd like to pinpoint you to give us experience about null safety and why it's important.
Okay, so as they said in the Google I/O, the keynote, using that 1.13, creating a new Flutter project with the latest Flutter version, which is Flutter 1.22. It creates a project with the minimum data SDK version as -13, and as we know from that 12, all things are null safe from that shelf. So basically, since basically the project you create is null safe by default using the latest Flutter SDK. I think null safety was important because it helped fix a lot of errors, which were maybe I know most of you guys, maybe if you have used Flutter, you faced a lot of null safe exceptions, and a lot of those errors are basically gone. Not all of them, but a lot of them are basically gone. Basically, by ensuring that every variable values are not null, or if they're nullable, they're explicitly defined as nullable. It helps us avoid those errors in our apps and stuff. Yeah, that's it for me.
All right, thank you for your take about that. I hope everyone learned from it. Eric Muli, do you have any other thing to add?
Yeah, I think Eric Muli can explain to us. Maybe we have developers who are wondering, what is this null safety? Why are they making it a big deal that null safety is fixed, or we're talking about it, or it's sound? So yeah, Eric, please explain to fellow developers what null safety means. I think he has mic issues, so maybe if I could explain it. So what sound null safety means, it's a default for new project, and it has been made default for new project. So what it does is it adds protection against null reference, giving developers the means to express non-nullable types in their code. Also, it allows developers to indicate whether a variable or a value can be null directly from the code. We have Kosgei, he calls himself I am Kosgei in Twitter. Maybe you can explain more on this, and if you've interacted with a sound null safety project. Kosgei, please. Or Sam Baraka, he says he can explain it better.
Okay, so basically, what null safety is basically like it's just a guarantee that in your code that that some value will not be null or will not have void values. That's basically what null safety is. Yeah, just a guarantee that maybe a variable or any kind of value in your code or app will not have any null values. So that if it has, or if it has if we have a possibility of it having a null value, so the compiler will not run. Just a guarantee. Yeah, it's basically a guarantee that everything has a value. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Have you by the way upgraded your Flutter channel? Sam?
Yes, I'm always on the latest SDK.
So did you have anything breaking or having any errors, especially now that you've upgraded your SDK, and did you have any issue with your previous project?
The only issue I had is maybe migrating the previous applications to null safety, and maybe the packages weren't even supporting null safety. But currently, most of those issues are fixed. almost like 75%, almost 80% of packages in pub.dev are migrated to Nuthu. And we all, and ukiona hapo kwa pub.dev, okay, let me use English. When you see there in pub.dev, you'll find that we have like flags where that we have these packages which have flags. Packages which have not been migrated to Nuthu have like a red flag, which currently basically shows that it doesn't safety. So the main issues I faced is after the release of the Flutter 2.0, but so far, not faced any other issue.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Sam, for that. So now we move to the Devtools improvements. MJ, Maureen, do you mind taking it over?
Yeah, thank you, Kendi. So for the Devtools improvements, these are improvements that have been done or made on the tools that you can use to analyze the memory usage in your app. So these improvements make you be able to develop better in terms of at the time when you are analyzing this memory usage, you're able to know what's going wrong or what's going right. Yeah, that's all I have about it. Do you have anything to add on it?
Not quite really from my end, except for that analyzing the memory usage on the application.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other person who has anything to add regarding the Devtools improvements? Have you had like do you see any difference from the previous Flutter version and the current Flutter version regarding these Devtools improvements, especially to those who have already upgraded? That's an open question to anyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Can I add on something?
Yes.
I would say if there's anyone who is, let's say, has a phobia of upgrading their Flutter, their data SDK, we have the FVM tool that can be used to install so many versions on the same machine, and you can choose on which to use them.
So you just mentioned AVM or what?
FVM.
Sorry?
FVM, Flutter Version Management.
Oh yeah. So maybe you can briefly say what Flutter version management is to any other person who doesn't have an idea of what that is and how it can help someone who has a phobia to upgrade a new version.
Okay, what FVM does, it gives you a platform to install other versions or the latest versions on the same computer, and you can choose on which version to use other than upgrading the default Flutter version in your computer. So if the old projects are using, let's say, Flutter 1 you can still have Flutter 2 on the same computer using FVM, where you can create new projects under FVM with the current version.
All right. So that's so much interesting. So currently, have you tried using it, or are you currently implementing it in your project, or do you have a phobia?
I had a phobia, so I had to use it to create new projects.
And how
I
does
still
it
use
work
it.
for you?
Yes.
How does it work for you? Does it work well?
Yes, it does. It goes well.
Okay. I've never used it, so that's something interesting to explore. So thank you for that, Mark.
You're welcome.
Any other person who has something to add regarding the Devtools improvements? if not, I think we can proceed to maybe talk about the next one, improvement on SDK. So what does this improvement on SDK mean? I can say that it's used to make web applications more accessible. By that I mean, currently Google is trying to work hard towards making like putting the accessibility topic ahead. So these improvements have been made on the SDKs to make it at least more accessible, especially on the SDKs and the plugins. So maybe Kendi can add something on that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Maureen. Also, I see that Flutter has made the Flutter ads SDK has been updated still to sound now safety and also adaptive ad banners. So on the web bit, what I would like to point out is optimized cached behaviors in PWAs. We know PWAs is in the web, and also improve support of mouse events. I would like anyone who has done Flutter for web to give us an insight of how it feels to develop for web, and is it as interactive as the mobile bits? Have you created any application on the web, Maureen?
Yes, I have, but it was a dummy actually when I was learning Flutter for web, but I haven't used it as my main project. Yeah, but yeah, I have done a Flutter web application. Though initially there's one pain point I noticed. There's some or rather some icons or maybe some widgets are more visible when you use it, when they are displayed on your mobile app, on the mobile bit, but on the website, it's kind of weird, doesn't show. I don't know why. So do we have anyone who has done Flutter or maybe has done a project on the website of Flutter, and what have you experienced, especially with these new updates, which is something nice to explore, especially if you want to analyze how the web bit of Flutter works?
MJ, I see we have AG. He says, yes, I have done. So maybe you could explain to us how it feels like working with Flutter for web.
Okay. It's really cool because you're writing one code for many platforms, right? Yeah. So okay, the problem with which I've been experiencing with Flutter Web, one is there is no reload in Flutter Web. Meaning, if you are in page 5, you are developing a page for you are designing page 5. If you perform a hot reload, you are coming back to page 1, then you navigate back to page 2. That is what really sucks there. Then also, yeah, there's some very minute problems like, okay, there are some overlay problem. Maybe something is overlaying, you will not notice, but it throws errors on the console. You may not notice which widget is throwing the exact error, but there is like hakuna overlay kwa screen, but ukienda kwa console unapata hiyo overlay error. Then iko tu na shida kidogo tu, though iko sawa.
All right, thank you, AG. So just to pick up on the pain points you've mentioned, have you been able to create an issue about it? Because Flutter is open source. If you have any issue, or maybe if you have experienced any issue, you're always open to creating an issue on the official Flutter project. Have you done so? Or maybe
No,
is it something
no.
that you can do?
No. I haven't created any issue.
Yeah, so I think it would be
Okay. Yeah, I haven't created any issue.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, about the hot reload issue, AG, I think if you could use named navigation, you'll have to fix that because like the way Flutter Web works is kind of different to the way it works on mobile. So if you use named navigation, you'll find that the link will just have like maybe the local host alafu with the / the name of the page, the tag of the page. So on hot reloading, it will just reload the name and the tag of the page. So the page will just be reloaded. So basically, if you use named navigation, hot reload will work.
Oh, nice.
Thank you for that, or some addition, Sam. So I think next we can go to the next point about the new payment plugin. So there's this payment plugin that has been made regarding these updates. So this payment plugin lets developers process payments for physical items on iOS and on Android. So regarding the payments topic, I know Kirone developed M-Pesa plugin. So would you maybe give some limelight regarding the payment plugin? Is it have you tried accessing it, or how is it different? Let's hear from you, Kirone.
At the moment, I haven't really tried on the payment plugin from Google. But generally, I believe it gives us a better perspective of, as in a better way of earning from our apps. Because you see, most of us are used to making free apps, and we have a challenge with from Flutter, we have a challenge with making payments or maybe receiving payments. But I believe whatever has been developed at the moment, from the documentation, because I'm really interested and I've been reading across it, and I believe that it's really at a good place to handle most of the problems that we have, because you realize for us locally in within this country, we normally use the M-Pesa payments, which may have worked and still works. But now when we have the support, which also it may not be just a direct overlap, but it's a very good step towards monetizing our apps. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kirone, for that. So this is something we should all explore, as just Kirone has mentioned. Maybe learn on how to earn our apps. So let's take this as an homework. So the next point, give it back to Kendi to handle the smoother animations improvement. Have you tried implementing these changes on your app, and what experience have you gained from it?
Thank you, Maureen, for that. Well, for the smoother animations, I see from the announcement, I see they were mostly basing it a lot on the iOS bit. I don't quite understand why, because we are doing across platform ideally. Personally, I haven't developed anything from iOS, or rather I haven't interacted with the application on iOS platform. So I would like to know from anyone who has done it on the iOS bit to like give us more insight and how they feel the changes have affected the application, either positively or negatively.
Okay, I could say something. I've not done anything on iOS, but we also for the animations bit, they also had something on Android. Basically, it's the way Android 12 from the previous session I've had Android 12 has some different animations and stuff. So basically what they kind of implied is that the way Flutter adapts the new animations. For example, there's a great GIF image that was shared on the Medium article, which shows just how the Flutter UI adapts to the animations on the let me say on the Android 12 device. For example, when you tap a text field, the way the keyboard comes up is different on Android 12. So Flutter kind of adapts to that. Yeah. I don't know. Let me look for that and I'll share.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Sam. Also, I see Fatuma Abdallah has said that because animation in iOS had issues before. If you interacted with it before, do you mind giving us more insights about it?
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so I have not interacted with the iOS animations, but I'm aware that there was an issue for a while on iOS animations.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, so
Second,
I believe, yes.
sorry, yeah. So just to chip in here, I've interacted with this issue. It has been facing like most iOS apps. So as per their statement, they're saying that this issue has been eliminated or greatly reduced. So they are not like really sure about it. Yeah, but I'm hoping that like it has been removed because this is something like really annoying. Imagine you have animations on your splash screen. So you'll find out. So you'll find out that on most like on iOS users, the animation won't appear like how you had like coded it. It will lag at the first run, but on the like subsequent run, it will be okay. So this is a very annoying issue. So I've not tested it, but seeing from the reviews from guys who have like tested it, they're saying it's like eliminated or greatly improved there.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Kosgei, for that. So it feels more smoother compared to before, right?
Yeah, it's better.
All right, cool. So next we move to reducing app size. MJ, please take over.
Thank you so much, Kendi. So this app size is something that many people consider an issue, me being one of them. So with these new changes, I haven't really explored if I build my Flutter app right now with the update on Flutter 2.2, if the app size will reduce. But I'd really love to hear your experience, or rather the audience experience, regarding this app size issue, because you find that when you build maybe a one page, the same app you build on Android and you build the same on Flutter, so the Flutter app tends to have usually tended to have like a bigger app size compared to the Android bit. But I would love to hear your experience about the app size, especially those who have upgraded to the new version of Flutter. Has this been affected? Some I'll pinpoint you because I know you have upgraded your Flutter to the latest version. Any insights regarding this app size?
Okay, I haven't tested it out, but as I've been seeing from the incremental upgrades, we've seen like apps like the Flutter Gallery. The Flutter Gallery application, the download size has been reducing from around 12 MBs to around 8 MBs today. Basically, let me just share my screen.
All right, I'll stop sharing.
Let me know if my screen is visible.
Not yet. Actually, we are seeing Nuthu's screen.
Okay, I'm sharing. Okay, maybe Naman could try to stop sharing. Okay, is it still not visible? Huh?
It is right now.
It's visible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. The Flutter Gallery app, for example, this is just the same app but running on Windows natively. So this app basically reduced from around 12 MBs when Flutter was starting to around almost 8 MBs right now. And it doesn't change anything. It's just like building the app again using the different SDK. So basically, we have some improvements in app size. I tried to create some new projects recently. I didn't see that much difference from the previous projects in terms of app size. It was just around 7 MBs. It was 6 point something MBs. So basically it's just like the same. But as you can see in the Flutter Gallery and stuff, it's just the same app that was released maybe as Flutter was starting, but it was just built with a different SDK, and basically the app size is smaller. So yeah, I think that's my input.
Thank you so much for your input. Yeah, any other person who considers this app size an issue? Yeah, if none, then because I know it is an issue, even if we don't talk about it. So regarding that, so we'll briefly go to the next point about the desktop beta in stable channel. I haven't done the desktop bit of Flutter, so let's hear from Kendi. Anything you'd like to say about these changes or updates?
Yeah, sure. I also haven't created anything in desktop, but I see they've announced really cool updates that the complete control of key mapping in the text field, and also re-architecturing the text handling on the desktop bit. So maybe if anyone has worked on the desktop bit can like talk to it. I see some has worked on it, so please give us more insights about it.
Thanks for that. Okay, I've done some Flutter desktop I've been doing it for quite a while, ever since like the master channel where we're using the Flutter embedding plugins and stuff. And all I can say is that it has really improved. It's quite fast and responsive. Let me just share my screen again so that I'll just demonstrate to you guys like how it is. Okay, let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we have the. Let me just open the Flutter Gallery. Okay, so let me just open the Flutter Gallery application. As you can see, it starts very fast. It's responsive. Basically, it's still in beta, but I think it's something someone can try for production-ready projects. Just saying, but as you can see, it's very responsive. It's very very fast. Performs very well. The way it adjusts to different screen sizes as you resize your window and stuff. For example, that dialog, if I resize it, you'll find that it can just adjust. The platform mechanics really adapt to the Windows style. And one of the major things that that were introduced maybe in this release is the Flutter support for Universal Windows Platform. So basically, a Universal Windows Platform app is an app that is an app ecosystem that was designed maybe as some previous years back by Microsoft. Their goal was to be able to run all these single apps on both their Windows mobile and their Windows desktop, their Windows devices. But that for Windows mobile, it didn't really pick up. So, but they're still there. So Flutter really supports universal Windows platform. Basically, what those universal Windows platform apps are found on the Microsoft Store. So that really means you can just publish your application, your Flutter application in your Microsoft Store. You can see in this, I just search Flutter. This app, Flutter Gallery. This app was just published in the Microsoft Store, just like that. The same way you publish your app on the window the same way you'll publish your app on the Android store or something. So that's that. We also had some performance issues in previous Flutter releases, Flutter desktop releases. But in this release, I think let's just monitor this application. As you can see, you have this task manager. So let's just look for the Flutter Gallery application. Yeah, as you can see, this Flutter Gallery application. As you can see, the CPU usage, as the app is not being used, is kind of idle. Previously, you could find that this Flutter app has taken like 35% of your CPU, which makes and a lot of RAM, which makes your device kind of lag a little bit. But that has been fixed. As you can see, the app is in idle state. It's using 0% of the CPU and 142 MBs of RAM, which is basically close to nothing. So basically, that's just like a performance issue that was fixed. This was fixed mainly due to the close collaboration between the Microsoft team and the Flutter team. As we had in our Flutter Engage event, where we got some information about the Microsoft team working to help bring Flutter to desktop, and I'm glad that it's working well. Yeah, so that's basically what I picked from the latest release. Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Sam.
Actually, let me say something.
Okay, cool.
Let me just tell you something. Sam, you're not being very honest, because you're running something that somebody already worked on. It would have been better if you worked on something from the ground up. But personally, I try to build my app that I tested on Flutter for desktop, and I realized that Flutter for desktop is still a joke. You cannot do with it serious apps. You can only do apps that basically are relying on a server to run. But you build a real application the way we do on Android, for example. Things like shared preferences, they are still not working properly, especially on Windows. But if you build your app and you tested it on Linux, it's working. Also on Mac, it's also working. But on Windows, the main reason why even Flutter for desktop in Windows took a long time for it to come to that stage, it's because there were a lot of issues that they were facing that are because of the OS architecture and among other things. So basically, I cannot say that you will build Flutter desktop apps and ship them the way you would do if you are using something else. Like myself, I do build desktop apps using .NET and even C++. The things that I'm able to do there, I've never been able to perform them in Flutter. For example, there's some small things Flutter for desktop they need to implement. For example, keyboard shortcuts. That one is still going to take some time if they are they are to take it serious. Another thing that basically, if you are to have that same application, for example, have several instances running, just from the same application, you load several instances. I'm sure the issue of CPU usage will become an issue. So the way I look at Flutter for desktop is like Flutter for web that you are trying to package to run in a container, and then you tell us it's a desktop app. So these guys, they need to do a better job with that if they want us to take Flutter for desktop serious. Those are just my personal views. Don't beat me. I'm in my house. You are where you are.
Okay, thank you so much, Zero, for that. No one is coming for you for your information. You're very safe, but thank you for chipping in. Yeah, I also think if you're willing to like play around Flutter for desktop, then the insights that have been given here are really useful. So it's up to you to like think about it, you know? Yeah, you're being asked to be kind, Jack Zero. All right, so let's, for the last little update that we had on the previous chart, we had the generalization type aliases. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that. Okay, so okay, this means that you can create a new name for any existing type, which can then be used anywhere the original type could be used. Does anyone know like how to go about it or have more insights about it? Some, probably. And also for this one, it was announced for the DAT 2.13, which has also been improved to sound null safety. Maybe you guys can read more about it, and because we are basically giving you more insights on what was improved rather. Thank you. Maureen, the next page, take over.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Kendi, for that. So we have a few more updates. I think we'll take it up quickly. So the that has been upgraded to version 2.13. Do we have any insights regarding the upgrade, Jack? Please tell us something.
If you don't mind, why don't you just pass, because I need to do something right now, and you calling me to talk, it's going to interrupt.
It's all right, no problem. So that has been upgraded to version 2.13. So that's foreign function interface. It reached version 2.12 before, and right now it's in version 2.13, which includes support for arrays and packed structs in Dart. And also it adds the type aliases that Kendi just mentioned in the previous slide, and also automation on the I think this comes in the next one about the GitHub Actions. So right now that also has the GitHub Actions support and the official Docker image for automated building and execution. That's if you are using Docker to build. Kendi, do you have something to add regarding that?
Not quite really, because I feel like said things that I was actually thinking. So not quite really.
All right, thank you, Kendi. So the next we'll go to the improvements regarding the platforms that have been made on as in platforms that use Flutter. So in this case, we have Flutter for Tizen. We don't know if it's Tizen or Tizen. So Tizen is an open source Linux-based OS that Samsung uses for smart devices. So there's a great improvement regarding this Flutter Tizen. I personally haven't experienced using it, but would love to hear from you if anyone has.
Also, if nobody has more insight about it, maybe we could continue to the next one so we can end our session in good time.
Yeah, thank you. So the next improvement, or rather the next improvement regarding platforms on Flutter, we have Flutter for UWP. So in this case, UWP means Universal Windows Platform. So what does it do? So Universal Windows Platform is used to create ability to develop more by looking at the native looking applications like Windows. And it's also similar, it's kind of similar to Flutter Tizen. That's more of smart devices. So there's a great improvement regarding the Universal Windows Platform. I personally haven't experienced it, but maybe would love to hear anything. So back to you, Kendi.
Yeah, thanks. About that UWP, I saw it was something to do with the Xbox for the gamers or Windows. Yes.
That's so nice to hear. Yeah, I think these are some of the updates we gathered from what was announced in the last few days on Google I/O. Thank you for listening to us and thank you for participating. Do we have any other questions regarding what we've just shared, or any point you'd like to add, so that I can hand it over to Harun to take over the QA session?
I think we have a question on the chat.
Hello.
Please just read it. I'm not able to access the chat for some reason.
So it's Oli who is asking, since it was announced immediately after I/O, what do you people think of the future? Is the future of first tier? I hope I pronounced it well.
By the way, about that question, I would also want to know more, because I don't understand. I sometimes don't understand what Google is doing. They are building one language, they build a big community on it, build another language for the same, almost similar functionalities as the previous one. Yeah, I would really want to know about that and what they are planning to do on for that one for the iOS bits. I think they're trying to like have the native iOS language. I don't know. I think so. Anyone who has any insights about that? Coronate, do you know more about it? Or some?
I think future is just like, it was just like an open source platform which Google, an open source of any like operating system which Google is trying to build from scratch. They've been doing it for a while, and basically it's the default applications, the applications the same way native applications for Android are made using Android Studio and Kotlin, its applications will be made in Flutter. Basically, I think what they announced is just the first release on the Google home devices. Like, I don't know what that device is called. Is it the Cast? Home? I don't know. Like, it's just like a screen. So basically, what Fuchsia is, it's just made to run on multiple platforms. Like basically a single OS which runs on multiple platforms. That, I think that's just what it's all about. Yeah. Basically, on devices with screens.
Thank you so much, Sam. Yeah, also something to add a little bit. So I also know that this Fuchsia, is it Fuchsia or Fuchsia? OS, its UI is been built by Flutter. So that's why also Google is trying to push for Flutter at the same time trying to push for Fuchsia, whatever. Yeah, that's all. Do we have any further questions?
Hello, I have a question about Android Studio versus Visual Studio Code. Visual Code Studio, like why most of the people are using Visual Studio Code for Flutter development instead of Android Studio.
Maybe I can give some small sense about that. I personally don't use Android Studio, but this is based on preference. Yeah, I can't tell you not to use Android Studio or not to use VS Code. So that's something you as a person should decide by yourself. But I normally don't use Android Studio. I think for the past 1 year, I strictly use VS Code because I find it convenient, or maybe because my machine can't handle opening Android Studio plus other things. So I prefer using VS Code. But let's hear this from others.
Yeah, thanks, Maureen. I also use VS Code compared to Android Studio. I feel like VS Code is much more lighter on my machine, especially when I'm trying to run also an emulator and opening some tabs on Chrome. As compared to Android Studio. Android Studio is really nice. It has a lot of features and cool stuff that you can play around with. But I also feel like it's a personal preference. Some prefer Android Studio, others prefer VS Code. Fatuma Abdallah is asking, what of Flutter Flow, thoughts, opinions? What I know about Flutter Flow is like this system that they're making, like developing applications simpler by like quote unquote drag and dropping. Also, they have simplified using Firebase authentication, especially for your application. So it's like an easier way to integrating your application with Firebase as compared to how you would hard code everything. I see they have like, if you want to maybe use cards or something, you like drag and drop to it and you create your application there. But they have a lot of improvements to work on, because sometimes you find that already Flutter has come up with a way of simplifying your code, but still on Flutter Flow, they're using the long way of writing code. But it's an easy way if you prefer drag and dropping. We have people who develop websites using what's the name of this thing? Forgotten. But yeah, the drag and drop thing. Yeah.
WordPress.
Yeah, WordPress. Yes, WordPress.
Maybe I can.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe I could answer on the issue of the IDE. VS Code if I could write, if it's Kotlin code, I could do all of it in VS Code, I wouldn't need to open Android Studio. But I would say when you compare VS Code over Android Studio in terms of writing your code, you find that VS Code is fast and lightweight. And then you find that if you don't want to touch Android Studio, you just need to have a .bat file on your desktop or somewhere to start the emulator. And then you can just use the console to hot reload or other commands. And then if you have a slow PC with low amount of RAM, you will find it easier and enjoyable to use VS Code over Android Studio. So if maybe you don't have, you are not rich enough to own an Apple device like a MacBook or an iMac or whatever, when you run Android Studio, you will hear your fan starting to change the way it's running, and somebody might say, if you are freezing, maybe you will start to take off your jacket because the fan will probably provide you with the heat that you need. So another thing is that you find there are features that VS Code has that are borrowed from other IDEs, like there is Sublime and other IDEs that I've forgotten their names, that make it very easy for you to code whatever you are coding on in your Flutter app. So you will find it easier. Then also, there are more plugins that are coming that are going to support Flutter that are coming on your VS Code IDE. You will find that using it is far much enjoyable. Then on the question of Flutter Flow, I saw this when it was being they were coming up with it. I would say if somebody is a beginner and they don't want to struggle, they might want to use it. But I saw it's for somebody who wants to have work easier, just like we have Elementor. So if you don't want to struggle and get your hands dirty, you are probably lazy in quotes, you will run to Flutter Flow and use it. But if you want to learn and even get your hands dirty and just really get into whatever you're working on, you would probably write your code, go look for whatever apps that are on GitHub and try to emulate them in your design. And just like that, you will make your work easier. Then once you have an app, you can use it as a template for other apps that you are working on. Because I saw on Flutter Flow, they are coming up with templates, and you need to be on premium for you to access those templates, that kind of a thing. So it's somebody's way of making money. So if you wanna help somebody make money, you will go to Flutter Flow there, and then very soon maybe he will tell you, for you to get the source code, pay this or do that. I'm just saying my thoughts.
Maybe I can add on maybe what Flutter Flow, the question by Fatma. I'm not really a Flutter guy, but yeah, for me, I think one good reason for using Flow, it's optimization and for transformation of allowing you to do many kinds of crazy transformation without losing performance. It's ideal when you want to work fast and don't lose performance for your app. So unlike the stack widgets that you guys use, that allow you to make multiple overlays over each other, I think as it all started, it was all there was so much contention into whether we're going to take up Flutter when it was being introduced or not. Same thing I would say with Flow, with the Flutter Flow. You just take it up. You never know. It's what fits you and your design. Yeah, thank you.
Just to add my quick thoughts. My only worry about Flutter Flow is maintainability. I created a small project on Flutter Flow, then I exported the code. And looking at the code, it's not like really maintainable. You find that a single page filled with, I think I created tabs and a YouTube video player, and I'm not sure what the thing was, but I found that all those things was placed inside one file. So you find that when working in a big project, that will become like a nightmare to maintain. Yeah, so that's my only worry.
Yeah, that's true, because gay. I also noticed that, but yeah, I actually noticed that it's very hard to maintain the code because now you have so many things. You have a huge bunch of code that it's just in one file.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that you can have like the whole application inside one single file.
Yeah, that's another thing with Flutter. Yeah, Fatuma, the way you're saying Flutter Flow is good for quick prototyping and speed, I think that's true. Also, like when you want to learn how Firebase is integrated, especially the authentication bits, I think Flutter Flow handles it nicely. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, if we don't have any other questions, I think I'll ask Harun to take over.
Hello. Does anyone have ever like published apps that are used by people around the world, like not around the world, that are used by people in App Store and Play Store here in our session?
Sorry, kindly repeat your question.
I said, does anyone have like published apps that are used by people here, like in App Store and Play Store, developed by Flutter here in our session?
Oh, if anyone here has published an application, right?
Yeah, in Play Store and App Store.
Well, I have, but not many people use it. Actually, nobody uses it. I just published it for my portfolio.
Oh, what is the name of this app?
Yes, what's the name of that application? Let me.
Personally, I've built. I have two apps, and one of them was even on App Store, but I mean on Apple Store, but I didn't pay for this year, so it's not available. But I have apps. Maybe I will share a link of my app in the chat, and then you can look at it and you see. It's going to, in August, I think it should be 1 year since I launched, and it's already having more than, it's going to hit 50,000 installs. So,
okay.
Hey, lens. I don't remember the name of my application.
Maybe it's been a while.
Flowers.
It's been ages.
Had a name Flowers.
Oh yeah, I was something to do with flowers. Yeah. All right, Harun, I think we don't have further questions, so maybe you should take over.
Thank you everyone for contributing. Thank you everyone for the questions and the points you added. It really made the session interactive as we expected or as we foreseen it. Back to you, Arun. So I'll stop sharing so that you can take it over.
So thank you so much, Maureen and Kendi, for the session. It was an amazing session, even if I'm not a Flutter person, but I like the engaging bit for the audience and also everyone's contributions on the session. Thank you so much for the session. So before I forget, maybe for later on today, we have another session, but in collaboration with DSC Moi. So the session will be about tooling, mostly Android Studio and so and so. So maybe if you are here and you'd like to join, I've shared the link on the chat. So that is before I forget. So once again, thank you to our speakers. This would not have been possible were it not for your contribution. Norman, Kendi, and Maureen receive a special thanks from us, the organizers, even though you two are the organizers too. But thank you. And I think maybe the Flutter community, maybe the good thing with organizing the joint meetups, I think the Flutter community has challenged mostly the Android and the Kotlin communities to maybe make sessions interactive. As you notice on our session, we didn't have that interactivity, or maybe we didn't have people asking questions or even contributing. Yeah, so this is just a challenge to all of us here. Maybe in maybe all the meetups that we attend, maybe virtual or maybe physical, make sure you like own the meetups and also maybe ask questions and also maybe contribute, because by that way you get to grow in the community and you get to also interact with people by asking questions or by making maybe contribution. That's how people know you, and that's how you get to also maybe connect with other people. Because we also, back when I was starting, I made sure I was asking maybe questions and so on, because at times you realize in the community you have so many powerful people or so many people who can change your life in one way or the other. It cannot be more so development, but it can be many different ways. Or maybe you can meet someone who will maybe link you to your next opportunity and so on and so on. So I'll encourage maybe all the attendees, feel free to maybe interact, ask questions, give feedback, because it is our meetups. We run the meetups together by us and for you people. Another thing maybe for the speakers, I've noticed not many speakers usually like to turn their camera on. At times we speak to, what do we call it? A black avatar or so on. So I'll also encourage maybe for the speakers, try maybe once in a while to turn your speakers, to turn your cameras on. Maybe it also increases the, what do we call it?
Connection.
Yeah, the connection with the audience, and maybe making your audience know you much better. And also for Android254 and Kotlin Kenya, we still have the June meetup. It's already live. So you can maybe join us in 2 weeks. It will be on June 19th, starting the same time. That is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Yeah, so let's meet there for more Kotlin and Android content. Yeah, that is all from me. And also, in case you need to speak, as I told you, in case you have never spoken before, that should not stop you, because we have, you can even ask Norman how we usually do it. In case you prepare the slides, you can give me to review. I can give you a few points here and there, and also maybe give you feedback and so on and so on, or even help you in conducting the sessions if need be. And lastly is to thank all the participants who have stuck with us up to the last moment. We really do appreciate. Organizing a meetup and having speakers is one thing, but having attendees who will stick through to the last moment is another thing. And we appreciate it so much. And we hope you continue attending our meetups. And also, in case you have any feedback for us, please feel free to also provide. Even if you have a negative feedback about me, please feel free to maybe tell me, and also I'll see how to improve. So maybe for those who are not there when I was introducing myself, I, who was the host for today's meetup, I'm Harun Ongereka, and I'm a co-organizer for Android254 and Kotlin Kenya. And without further ado, I'll call it a wrap. Thank you so much for the attendees, speakers, and also for making this session interactive. Thank you.